I went to a pupil on Tuesday, and a young lad, he's a teenager, and he'd on Easter morning, he'd done a reverse Easter egg hunt. Instead of him hunting for the Easter eggs that his mum and dad had got him, he'd actually hidden his mum and dad's eggs, and by Tuesday they still hadn't found them. I'll get back to that in a minute. Talking about the right. Here's the thing, right? I was talking about the music competitions, right?
Right.
Actually,
your parents got more upset kind of than you did. Right?
No. I've got something else first. Sorry. I know you're going to get hurt at this and upset with me.
Here we go.
But I have asked you this before.
What?
Why is it that the winner of the Super Bowl are then declared the world champions? The clue is in the title. It's American football. How can you have world champions at American football when no other country competes in it?
Well, I mean, doesn't that technically? I mean, I don't know. Technically, they could field teams and could potentially join the NFL, but they don't. So all the people in the world that play it, but anyway. You could go round and round, but I get what you're saying.
What it is quite simply is the fact that there are people in America that think that the world is America.
Okay.
It's so vast a country. I can forgive them that, you know. I mean, if you want to go from one end of America to the other, it's going to take you days, you know. But for some people, that all they know is what's going on. They have no idea what's, you know. I mean, you've had presidents in the past that haven't had a clue when it comes to geography. True.
I believe so.
Yep.
I know we had one that couldn't spell. Well, vice president. Anyway.
I'm not getting into all that kind of stuff. The point is, right, in Perth every year, that's Perth, Scotland, not Australia, the original Perth in Scotland, which is in Perthshire. The good one, yes, yeah. Who do we know at this?
No offense,
Perth?
Mark.
No, he's not Perth, is he? He's not Perth.
I don't know, but he's... Yeah.
No.
He's from down under.
He is, yes.
Everybody's got their pride.
Yeah, okay.
That's why you're bragging about your Perth, right? Anyway.
So, in Perth, right, Scotland,
right.
Every year, we have our own World Championships of Scottish accordion music, right?
Right.
A bit like your American football. You know, whoever wins the solo title. I never managed to win the solo title. I got into the sort of like the playoffs one year, but wasn't placed. You know, they take the best six and put them in a playoff, and right. I wasn't placed in that. But I did at least make the final, as it were, one year. You know,
right.
And I have been lucky enough. You know, believe it or not, I actually won the veteran title. Now I know you're thinking, how could I possibly be classed as a veteran? But you know, within the last 8 years, I did actually win the veteran title twice. Okay.
Right on.
Now, in the competition, we also have a band section. You know, like for a full 6-piece Scottish dance band. I don't know if you've ever heard of Jimmy Shand, or you know, you're probably familiar with.
Hello.
I don't know what happened there. It
froze up. It froze up and.
Bloody annoying. Now, why am I not... speaker on. Headset on. That's better.
Okay, there. No more echo.
Oh, that's better, yeah. Yep. How far did I get? 6-piece Scottish dance band, yeah?
Right.
You follow me so far?
Yeah. You
into that sort of music? You into that music?
Am I?
Am I?
Oh, yeah, it's my favorite.
Yeah. Okay. So here here is the interesting thing, right? You know, I'm gonna allow you an insight into the murky world of World Championship Scottish country dance band competitions. Mm-hmm. And here's the fact: you've got the lead accordionist in one band would often then play second accordion in another band, piano in another band. If he plays the fiddle as well, he could play in another band. If he plays the drums, in other words, one person could be in as many as 6 different bands as long as they play a different instrument. And it's not considered a conflict of interest. Mm-hmm. Now, from what I'm hearing, take that model forward to Madison, and what have you got? You've got Stephen's defence and Stephen's prosecution all being pally with one another. Table. The amount of stuff that I'm finding out that should have been, you know, at least Dean and Jerry should have been called up for, you know. For example.
Yeah, they're all sitting at the same table, so there's that.
Tell me, why was that effing cabinet not taken into court?
Right. That is a good question, because and I know what you're getting at. I know what you're getting at. You're saying, okay, yeah, the prosecution didn't bring it in. Fine. Why didn't Jerry subpoena it and bring it in? And that's true. Why? You know, I mean, that's a good question.
Yep.
And you know, it's a fair question. I'll say
it's a fair question.
It's a fair question.
Right.
So
okay.
Hopefully one day we'll get Jerry to give us an answer to it.
Apparently, it was in the pre-trial.
Oh, the cabinet was there during the pre-trial?
Yeah.
Interesting. What happened with it there?
Exactly. Did it disappear into its own Narnia?
Well, no. Yeah, possibly. But what I meant is, did they do anything with it at pre-trial, or did it just sit there?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm wondering. See, I'm just wondering, did Jerry kind of go through that part of his case during pre-trial and was gonna do a little demonstration, and they thought, you know, let's get that thing out of here, and then the prosecution removed it, or did everybody who was sitting at the same table on the Avery Commission all go, hey, you know what, let's just get that thing out of here? I don't know, but the fact is, it is fishy that the cabinet, if it was there at pre-trial, that it disappeared at trial and nobody asked to bring it in. Yeah, it's certainly a fair question.
I mean, it somewhat reminded me of the fact that in the original Penny Bernstein case, we had the situation where Dennis Vogel got Penny Bernstein to reenact the attack on her 2 or 3 times.
Right.
You know, in one case, using her own husband to demonstrate in court how the attack went down. You know, yep. Dean and Jerry should have done more about that cabinet. I'm sorry, they should have pinned Andy Colburn's balls to that cabinet.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
They should have gotten it in there to do a demonstration to prove that you could have, because Kucharski was saying, you know, I didn't hear it or whatever. He's like, or you know, and or it did make a sound, and he's like, well, I could drop it right here, and then that's when the whole, oh, are we doing an experiment here, Judge? That's another instance of fear, by the way. That was Kratz starts going, oh, is this an experiment, Judge? Because I think we need to have the proper conditions and recreate it and blah, 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 blah. You know, that's when he gets all huffy.
Actually, I have a certain sympathy with Kratz on that point because that was such a bad thing to say. Can I just drop it here? As if, oh yeah, the judge is going to accept that. Kratz didn't need to say anything. The judge is going to say, no, of course you can't. It's, you know, it would have to be done under, you know, anyway. So, okay.
I mean, it would be interesting. You know, obviously he'd need to get a little closer to the floor, but it would have been interesting to know if there was a little, you know, sound. But then again, it's the courtroom floor.
Yep.
So who knows? It could be cement. underneath the carpet there, and that would affect the sound it would make. So I mean, yeah, I mean there would be some considerations to take into consideration there, but
yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. The bullet. The bullet in the garage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So the filming stopped, as we pointed out, literally seconds before they find the bullet.
Right.
That then should have that bullet should have been out there. That bullet should have been then dismissed as evidence. That's what we call strike one.
Right.
Secondly, the fact that it was the first time that apparently a .22 had ever been used in this nibbing program in Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's strike two, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
And then
they were forcing things through.
Yeah. All that stuff about place her in the garage, all that kind of.
Place Teresa in the garage.
Yeah. And there's a few other things as well. Like, what the dickens? There's basically so much about the bullet. It should have just gone. You're out.
Yeah.
It should have just been.
The bullet is ridiculous.
And as I say, I can't help thinking about the fact that, you know, okay, in our murky world of accordion championships, you know, to be honest, we very rarely have problems with, you know, because everybody knows one another. You know, we're all friends, and it doesn't matter. You know, often in fact, you get the situation where somebody will ask somebody that's there, you couldn't play second box with us, and you're actually asking them to do you a favour, you know. And you know, if one band wins, it's not like, you know, people start saying, oh well, you know, you deliberately jeopardised our chances.
Right.
But I
would actually think if you had a bunch of people playing in 6 different bands, wouldn't that make them ultimately unbiased because they're in 6 different bands?
But one of those bands is in their own name. The other 5 are in somebody else's name.
Oh, you know? I see. So so you could be tanking it for the other 5. Okay, fair enough.
But I mean, literally, I've not actually at Perth, but at another competition. I remember once I had like a bronze medal for playing in one band, then a silver medal for playing in another, and a gold for playing in another. No, I stuff that you find out about them that you know. Here's the thing that probably annoyed me about Stephen Stryer more than anything else, and apparently Stephen was made to accept the fact that he wouldn't be giving testimony as early as the March, 11 months before the trial. Mm-hmm. Now I'm sorry, but for me, that looks dodgy. If you've not got the person that's being accused going, because obviously they don't want the prosecution to trip you up,
and do all the sort of things that they will do. Yeah,
I just don't get that. I mean, I'm trying to think here in the UK. I don't think that's quite common because it immediately
standard.
Yeah, but immediately it makes you think that, you know, that somebody's got something to hide.
Yeah. That's one thing it does. Yeah.
Mm.
But on the other hand, it prevents the prosecution from being able to grill them and get them to say anything incriminating in front of the jury. So it depends on the situation, I guess, whether or not it's favorable or not.
Well, the question I would ask then is, why is it that Stephen Avery, who's quite savvy with the police, doesn't get to testify, and yet a certain Mr. Dassey does, when he doesn't really know what he's dealing with?
Yeah, that's true. But different lawyers, so I don't know. I don't know how to really base that. So.
I'm not. pal, I'm not sort of grilling you. I'm just raising these questions. The questions that I'm thinking, hold on a sec. What on earth is going on here? Why are we pulling our hair out, trying to understand the situation? Why is it that Easter egg, that dad's pupil's dad can't find the Easter egg? Because he hid it in the lampshade, and because nobody looks up. Everybody looks down or sideways. We never look up. And the moment you start looking up to Peg, that's when you get your answers.
Right.
Yep. Now, I'm sorry, I'm going to go on about this again, a bit of a soapbox. I have never seen any evidence whatsoever that those bones were Teresa Holbach's.
Right, other than the questionable FBI test.
Okay, so is Teresa still out there? As I say, my level of possibility is going up and up. But here's the thing. This whole business, obviously, of framing Steve was purely to do with the finances of it. We've discussed all that, and the getting, obviously not wanting loads and loads of people to be out and making similar claims on the state. So Peg has set this up from the top, and I don't think that it goes very far down from Peg. And I'm beginning to think, partly because of my conversations with Herman, he was quite adamant that there was nothing wrong with the investigation, and I'm wondering if even the cops in Manitowoc, they genuinely thought that Steve had done it.
I think the cops in Manitowoc wanted Steve to have done it.
Yeah,
and they helped the evidence along in their own ways.
I think it was a case of.
I think Thomas Fassbender was Peg's good little soldier.
Oh yeah,
and he went in there fully knowing, with an agenda and a plan.
Yeah,
and everybody else, you can chalk up to compasses pointing north. They were just compasses pointing north, and that's how it is. That's what it is.
Yep. I mean, the thing is that it would be quite funny if it was a case of, as I say, that Manitowoc, as you say, they genuinely thought that Steve was guilty, and then when there's a lack of evidence, I think Peg knew perfectly well that the first thing that Manitowoc are going to do when there's no evidence is they're going to get their best two evidence technicians to go in there and make sure that there is evidence.
Yeah.
But it only took those two. It only took Lenk and Colburn.
Yeah.
I mean, was it not Lenk that was in the garage the day before the bullet was found?
He was there. He was there on that. He was there in March with them when they went back in March.
Yeah.
He was there on the property with them. Yeah.
Yeah. Because the bullet was found something stupid 2:00 in the morning, wasn't it, or something like that?
I don't remember what time.
Well, I seem to remember it was very late. Anyway. But no,
well, maybe it was right after Brendan's interview. Maybe, I guess, could have been. Maybe, yeah.
But no, it's the point is that if if she is still out there, this would be a huge. The whole deck of cards would come tumbling down.
I know Mr. Keller.
We just have to wait and see.
But I know Mr. Keller has shown you his person that he believes is Teresa.
It's just it's like a parallel universe, as he was saying. It's. But anyway, if.
So. Anyway.
If she's, if she's dead, that's that really is a shame. And yes, then we've got to look at who did actually murder her. So at the moment, we'll have to sort of we have to go sort of quite sort of carefully here, don't we? You don't want to. It's yeah, as you've mentioned before.
You don't want to overstep.
No, you don't want to sort of alienate people. It's a little bit like this whole business of Dean and Jerry as well. Everybody out there, they absolutely love Dean and Jerry. They think they're the most ethical, and compared with Fallon, Kratz, and Gorm,
right.
Even I would look ethical compared with that trio. Anybody
right.
would look ethical. But we do have to at some point accept the fact that apparently Stephen is not at all happy. I thought when we got this letter that Steve wrote with the sort of 15 bullet points about how he'd been badly represented, I thought, oh well, that's just Zelna, doing her normal thing, and we heard that Dean and Jerry are saying, oh yeah, that's perfectly okay, that's quite right, that's exactly as it should be, because then you can claim ineffective counsel. And I thought, oh, it's just lawyer talk, But now,
right.
There's more meat on the bones, when you actually look at the performance of the pair of them. I mean, this Dean playing rounds of golf and going out for coffee with Fallon. It's, this model of accordion championships is fine when it's accordion championships in Perth, but when you take it to Madison and you've got all these lawyers there,
yeah, well,
and Steve was recommended to go for Strang and Butin. I mean, the bottom line is, where he is now, he'd have been just as well sticking with Eric Lloyd.
His public defender?
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Well, he's still inside.
Well, either way, I'm just saying, public defenders are, well, we talked about them before.
Yeah.
I told you what it's like to be a public defender. It's not that they're bad lawyers. It's just that they're grossly overburdened.
Yeah.
So,
But a case like this, are you not telling me that public defender isn't going to pull out all his stops when he knows it's going to be on TV and the media coverage?
I mean, now that we're sitting here with hindsight 2020,
yeah,
we can look back and go, oh yeah, I should have done this, should have done that. Well, yeah, that's easy to do now.
Yeah.
But yeah, should have. What Steve should have done? Now that I look back on it, Steve should have hired another lawyer from out of the state or something. Should have gotten somebody that primarily practices like out of state, but that is like on the Wisconsin bar, and brought them in, because basically all the top lawyers in Wisconsin were on the Avery Council. They were on the Avery Commission. All of them. Pretty much every top lawyer in the state, defense and prosecutors. So, I mean, his only option was really to go out of Wisconsin to get a top-notch lawyer that wouldn't be on the Avery Commission commingling with all the people that had it in for him.
Yeah.
Whether Dean and Jerry had ill intent or not, they were commingling with those people that were dead set on railroading Stephen and eventually Brendan.
Well, I mean, this whole business about the fact that, apparently Jerry was on the Avery Commission. He also then was responsible for training Fassbender in this juvenile interrogation law.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And none of that. Here's another thing, right? Dean and Jerry, why didn't they bring Brendan to testify in Steve's case?
Why would they?
To completely debunk and to point out that, as Chad was saying, $2.3 million spent on crime lab investigation, and not a single bit of evidence tying Brendan to that,
Absolutely.
I mean, obviously we all feel the same, but the way that both trials went down, you're just shouting at the TV screen non-stop.
Mm-hmm.
Why this? Why that? Why?
Yeah. What was I going to say?
It does. It makes you pull your hair out. You're thinking, you're trying to come up with explanations for this, and at the end of the day, as they say, a coincidence is a coincidence, but when it happens over and over again, there's a pattern,
right,
and there's a reason for that, and the reason is because basically everybody was out to get Stephen.
Yeah,
and Brendan was collateral damage.
They needed something else. They felt that's the way it looks to me. They just knew. They knew that their evidence was shaky. They knew. They all just wanted it to get a little bit more of a lead pipe cinch on it, and that's why they were going after Jody. I mean, you look at the pattern of these guys. They're predators, people. Yep. They are freaking predators. First, they're going after Jody, okay? A woman with obvious substance abuse problems, okay? Who's in jail for those problems. And they're going down there and they're badgering her and hassling her every day, trying to get her to say incriminating things about Stephen. Until eventually she tells them, go away, kick rocks, get the hell out of my life, or whatever, basically. She tells the prison, don't let them in anymore, I don't want to talk to them. Or the jail. She tells them, So that's it. Now they show up and go, oh no, sorry guys, she's not accepting your visits, or whatever. So now they're left going, oh great, what do we do now? Oh man. And then that's when they have the idea, Brendan. Or maybe one of Barb's kids, or, and then that's when they discover Brendan, and boom, boom, boom. It all clicks. Because they were desperate, because they knew that the evidence, they knew that if Stephen got a halfway decent lawyer, they were going to point out at least some of the fishy things about the evidence. And so they were just looking to support it. And that's how Brendan ends up getting caught up in the whole, hopper.
Yeah, I think you've absolutely hit the nail on the head. If Steve had got half decent lawyers, then they would have conducted the case quite a bit differently. And it is, as I say, it is starting to make sense with me.
Yeah.
One final question, because I know that you've been, as I say, working like a Trojan. And it was something that I was actually. I must apologise, by the way. Sometimes things can go sort of jump from one bit to another to another to another, and often what it is, it's stuff that over the course of a day, a couple of days, 3 days, speaking with so many people, and you hear different things, and I just feel it's quite nice to sort of bring these sort of discussions out into the public, and it was to do with our friend over in Canada, Thomas, and we had a really, really good conversation about the prison system. Why is it that Wisconsin locks so many people up, and apparently it somehow generates a lot of money? Is it because is it because they're private prisons, and the more people they lock up and apparently process, they get money from the taxpayers?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that how it works? I don't know. Is that the American system?
I'm not sure how it works exactly, but the private prisons are being run to try to make a profit.
Well, yeah. I mean,
they do that in ways like they try to have the inmates will have they'll be able to work a job and make something or whatever that the prison can sell, and then that helps them create revenue and things like that. So I mean, it's various different ways, but
yeah, I mean, like I certainly think that in the UK we now have some private prisons, which and the reason for them was apparently the fact that if you leave it as a sort of nationalised government control thing, it was open to abuse by the workers, in effect. They could claim more money, and then they'd go on strike, and then it was decided that it might be a good idea to farm the prisons out to the private sector, and they would actually be able to do it cheaper. The problem is, of course, that if you're creating this industry of prison systems, what are you going to do? You're going to encourage corruption there, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course you are, because
those people that want to make a profit are going to want more money, so they're going to push for legislation that gets more people behind bars. Absolutely.
And
it's not a good situation.
And And I can't help thinking, I mean, you know, it seems quite obvious to me that then what happens is that once these prisons are up and running and making a profit, then the people that helped in government, that helped with them setting up the prison in the first place, they get a very nice, oh, thank you very much. Here's a little bit of, you know, can't prove it, but I can't imagine that doesn't go on. Can you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, here's a nice little backhander for helping us get set up, and
sure, I'll bet there's even like wealthy people that try to set up certain inmates or inmates themselves that are wealthy that will, you know, have, you know, donation or have their people bribe, you know, guards or whatever so that they can have more freedom in the prison and things like that. So I mean, it's all kinds of money greases the wheels, man. That's what it comes down to.
Yep. And the sad thing is, right, they're making this profit. Who's actually paying for it all? The taxpayer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and when it comes down to, you know, when Steve and Brendan are out, and I'm absolutely convinced that they will be, and you know, we wait to see how it actually unfolds with in terms of getting there. You know, again, it's going to be the taxpayers that pay for this, but I suppose I'm getting a little. I might be completely wrong on this. I'm getting a sense that Zellner's looking a little bit like a little bit like my pupil looking for his Easter egg. She's at a certain level, and she's looking down to see what things were done wrong in Steve's case,
or it's problematic to look up.
It must be very, very difficult, and you know
that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking
you know,
I'm thinking she's looked up.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking my opinion is she's thinking if she tries to tackle that at this point, that she will probably lose credibility.
Yeah.
But if she waits, and if certain evidences come out, and certain things come out that will support it a little more, then maybe she can venture into the whole looking up thing.
Yeah.
A little bit more, you know, with oomph, with gusto.
Yes. Yeah. I mean that's. I mean, you know, don't get me wrong. Yes, I'm criticising, potentially saying Dean and Jerry, they didn't conduct themselves that well in that trial, and it could well be that, you know, when you've got like Sir Fallon coming along and inserting himself in the case and then saying things like they do so at their peril,
right? That's
when I start to go, whoa. So Dean and Jerry were actually, you know, we want to stay good friends with our pals here in Madison. We don't want to upset the apple cart too much. We don't want to go looking up too much either.
Yeah. Right.
You know, and you can understand that human nature, you know, we'll protect what we've got and see if we can get him out, you know, based on, you know, just this nonsense farce of a trial, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tricky one.
It's a mess. It's an absolute mess.
And as I say,
train wreck.
Yeah, whoever.
That's the thing about train wrecks, man. You just can't look away. They're horrific.
Yes.
You just can't look away.
No. That's yeah, that is true. Well, and anyway, I apologise for being a miserable Scottish git, but you know, it's just when you find out certain things and you think that makes sense, and you start putting it all together, and you think
there's certainly certain things that Mr. Keller has dug up that are very interesting, that are very, in my mind, valid. And then there's certain other things that I'm really not sure about yet. I feel like his connections are not as strong as I would like them to be, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Yeah. It's, you know...
as I said, I'm still reading his book. I think I'm about halfway through it now.
Yeah, I'm aware of the fact that you know, it's sometimes a bit difficult for you to sort of, for anybody to sort of change their sort of opinion quickly. This is one of the problems. Is how do you sort of convince people that Dean and Jerry wonderful, and the next minute you're saying no, they weren't. You can't just go from people aren't going to accept that kind of transition. They're going to have to be. It's going to have to be over like a process to sort of introduce things. That you can back up. There's going to need to
be rhyme and reason.
That's
people
right.
are going to need rhyme and reason. So that's what's going to be needed. So.
But
and it needs to be vetted out. I mean, the questions need to be asked. Hopefully they don't get dodged. But I mean, I honestly at some point would like to ask Jerry about the Avery Commission at some point, and see what he says. But on the other hand, I almost wish I had somebody who was more of a lawyer who could ask Jerry. Somebody who could stand more on a level playing field with him when they ask. So, I don't know. But honestly, I do kind of wish the question would get asked.
I think there's a lot of questions that do need to be asked. I think Mr. Keller as well. I think I admire his motivation because obviously he was wrongfully convicted and did 4 years for something he didn't do. He's somebody that's experienced something that we've never experienced. Well, at least I don't think you have, and I certainly haven't. So therefore, I think where he's coming from is from this point of view that he seems to be a dog with a bone.
Well, he's certainly got something.
Yeah. Yep.
Whether he's got all of what he entails in the book, I don't know yet. But he's certainly got some things. I can certainly agree with some of the things he's come up with. Most of the things about Peg are just, spot on. I mean, you could just everything he talks about, how the whole Avery Commission and the Peg and the whole everything there. I mean, that is just logical progression. From point to point to point to point to point. So that part is totally plausible and believable.
Yep.
But yeah, when we get to thinking that Dean and Jerry are villains, that's a boat I'm not ready to jump on yet. At least, if ever. I don't know. I still need to see. Like I said, I want the questions to get asked. I want to see what the answers are, and we may find out that they were just on a commission, and they may not have liked everything that was going on. But what were they going to do about it? So, going?
No, it was just that. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There is this point that the, they made me, they, as you say, they were involved in a committee. But we don't know how much of what that committee was doing they liked, Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, with committees, you have to acquiesce to the majority, don't you? So yes, it could well be that that they were, particularly Jerry with his connections, and then Dean with Fallon and all that kind of stuff. Maybe they, because at times, yes, we do hear that that Jerry was, I heard them in Edinburgh. I would have liked I'd have liked them to talk a lot more about the case rather than about the reform. But apparently that was because there were lots of students there. I was the oldest dude there by a long way. There was loads of students there. That are law students that had went along to hear them talk about reform in the future and the legal system and all that. I'd have liked to have heard a lot more about the case, and I'd have liked to have asked a lot more. It's okay. It's my daughter that's gone off to work now. That was it. Yeah.
Mrs. Capaldi's still out of town, right? Eunice is still out of town.
No, she's back. She's back.
Oh, she's back already.
I got up early to obviously to chat with you as we'd agreed, which was great because I realised just how busy you've been. But then because you were busy finishing off your other video, which I'm really looking forward to seeing,
Yeah.
I was obviously chatting away with
because you were giving me crap about the math. So I went ahead and did a video where I went ahead and did some, equations so that people could see what happens when you add cases that don't involve confessions or that don't even involve an interrogation. When you add those cases and how the percentage essentially drops, right? So I wanted to show that clearly for people to understand that everybody's got a head for math.
Do you know? You really made me laugh when you in one of your messages you quoted a time of something like it was 4:45, but you did it as 0.25 to 5, and I'm thinking,
yes.
What the dickens? I'm old school. I'm fractions, and your fractions as well. But
yes.
Did you like?
I'm a math. I have an affinity for math. I've always done well in it. When I was going to get like electrically a certification for being an electrician, I had to take trigonometry. I got an A in that class. I hadn't been in a math class in 10 years, and walked in and aced that class.
I used to hate maths. I used to hate it. I still do maths, physics, all that kind of stuff. Give me music, man, anytime.
Well, music is math.
There are a little bit of fractions involved. I can handle fractions, but did you like the Mr. Logic thing I sent you?
I haven't gotten around to seeing it yet. I've been working all day, and then I was working on a video.
Yeah, it was where you showed me the thing, which was a really interesting article about the innocence deniers.
Right. Yes.
And about the number of people that that are clearly innocent, and yet they still won't accept that they are. Various. Yeah. So I said,
DAs are a cancer on our criminal justice system. Let me tell you.
They are. If you take the Scottish country dance band model and you put that in government, in the legal system in Madison, it's a huge problem. It's not a problem for us guys playing away. We're quite happy. The point is it's a huge conflict of interest. There's no way I should be getting a bronze in one, a silver in one, and a gold in another.
Right.
But that's exactly what's going on over there. They're all in Madison, probably in this area. And okay, maybe one of the reasons for getting Dean and Jerry was the fact that they did know, in effect, the prosecution.
Yeah.
But if that was the plan, that it would somehow help. Well, it didn't. It didn't. They didn't do anything to really help. And
the whole key is that all these guys were on the Avery Commission together. We all know that we all know what the Avery Commission now became. We know what it started out as, and then we know what it became.
Criminal justice reform.
So it became about criminal justice reform or whatever. Basically, let's prevent wrongful convictions in the future. But let those mother effers in prison already. Let them burn. That's that's the attitude. So you got to wonder, like, okay, well, how much were you guys behind this, Dean and Jerry? Was this cool with you? Are you're down with this, or did you object? Did you offer a different opinion or something? Or did you just sit there? So anyway.
Well, yes, you've hit the nail on the head. Did they just go in there and tread very cautiously, very lightly? We don't want to upset our friends. We want to try and make it look as if we're doing a good job. And luckily, we've got Craps there, and he makes everybody look good. And that's what we've ended up with. That to me explains quite a lot of things. Because as I say, there are times when you're following the case. Certainly, well, not just in the on making a murder, but you follow the trial transcripts, and yes, there are times when certain people get a grilling. I've already mentioned the time when You know, it was brilliant when Dean Strang went after Andy Colburn about reports. You know, and really did make Colburn look like the absolute complete idiot that he obviously is. Right. You know, but there needed to be a lot more of that.
It hadn't been 8 years yet. He hadn't written the report yet because it hadn't been 8 years.
Yeah, that's incredible. You know, but
you know, because he waited 8 years for the phone call.
Anyway. Yeah, and of course one of the things was, of course, that by settling for the civil suit, it meant that Steve couldn't use the that wrongful conviction the first time in his defense.
Right.
It was put to me as if it was a little bit like Steve hanging himself with his own bit of rope.
Yeah, well.
You know, because they couldn't use any of that. They hardly ever go on about it. You know, Kratz goes on about it and says it's got nothing to do with it. I don't recall that much going on about being talked about the wrongful conviction. You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Stephen Avery was all over the TVs in Wisconsin. At the time, a lot of people would have known his name because he was constantly on the news with the governor and with, you know, other people and talking about this, you know, reform for, you know, and I mean, so yeah, he would have gotten people's attention. As much as the press conference? No, definitely not as much as that. But he would have caught some attention.
Yeah. No, I mean that's the other thing. I might be wrong on this, but did Dean and Jerry not immediately start the trial by saying, "Right, Judge, watch this, watch this press conference"?
From what I understand, it was all okay. It was all basically decided. Okay, well, no, it's all right. It's just like in the Scott Davis case, dude.
Yeah.
In the Scott Davis case, freaking prosecution is trying to prosecute Scott Davis, and 72 pieces of the evidence that they've already tested and have it all logged and everything is lost.
Yeah.
Scott's lawyers don't get to do anything. They don't get to test it, look at it, have experts look at it. Nothing. They can't dispute any of the findings that the prosecution has. And the judge just goes, "Okay, let it in."
You know, it's like I was.
And then the worst part is the DA comes into court and he's like playing pity party. Like, "Oh my God, this is really embarrassing for us." Yeah, obviously not enough.
Yeah. I was just imagining it in my in my own sort of silly little Scottish world here. You know, I was just imagining. I wonder because Peg was in charge of everything. She was also in charge of the crime lab. She was the one that okayed the DNA on the bullet. Yeah, right. And I'm just wondering if there was a phone conversation between Peggy and Sherry. Right, Sherry, you let him out the first time. Now you bloody well make sure you put him back in there. Did you get a sense of that? Did you get a sense of that?
Yeah.
You dumb blonde. Look what you got to do. Now you made the mistake. You get him back in there.
You fix it.
Yes.
Yeah. Totally. All right, Paul. Well, yeah. I'm getting mighty tired. My lids.
You are, yeah. I can tell because you're just mumbling.
Oh, am I now?
No, you're not, pal.
All right. As always, it's a pleasure to talk to you, my friend.
It always is. It always
look forward to the next time.
And I like the fact that we can rib each other up. And you know, there's never any hard feelings. And the amount of stick I gave you on a post that got deleted, oh dear, everybody else was killing them, and you'll never ever get to see it.
Yeah, well, you know.
Okay, it's probably a good thing.
Somebody probably has it screenshotted somewhere, but anyway.
Oh, there was one comment, and it was where it was a GIF, a GIF. Yes. Where it was, I don't know, was it Carey that was on like the Letterman show, and he decides to put his feet up on the desk, and he's got these huge, great feet. And I can't remember who was posted that. I'll have to try and find that one. But anyway, no, you, and of course the best of it was you were fast asleep. You had no idea of what was going on, because obviously we're sort of, what are we, about 8 hours difference?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I'm ahead of you by about 8 hours.
And over in Wisconsin and on the East Coast, well, the East Coast is 3 hours ahead of me, and Wisconsin is 2 hours ahead of me.
Right. So how many time zones are there then? Are there like 1, 2, 3, 4?
There's 4. You got a mountain. You got Eastern, Central, Mountain, Pacific. Mountain kind of does. It's weird. Mountain's kind of like not even a full time zone. It like goes into effect certain times of the year, and it's kind of strange. But anyway. So yes, as you say, on the East Coast they are 5 hours. But no. Behind. On the East Coast they're 3 hours. Oh, so for you, yes, they would be 5 hours behind you. Yeah, that's right, 5, and then it goes to 6, and then it goes all the way to the other side, and it's 8. So yeah, it's it sometimes. I mean, it's. Have you got your calculator there? We can work out when we're going to meet the next time. I'm looking forward to. Show us that ratio thing you showed again, because it was absolute gobbledygook to me. You'll see when you watch the video. Okay. I'll actually be explaining it to you as you're seeing it. Therefore, it'll make more sense to you. I doubt it. But are you sure? Because you do understand that 1/2 is more than 1/3, because you just said you understand fractions because you're a music guy. Yeah. So you understand that 1/3 is less than 1/2, right? Right, if you say so. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think if you see if you'd have called it a quaver and then a quaver in a triplet, then I'd have understood it. But I see. But no, you're I don't even know what those words mean. It's just note values, music note values. Oh, okay. Yeah, a quaver is a half a beat. A quaver triplet is a third of a beat. I see. I'll do a video and explain it all to you, okay? Oh, will you now? I'll do one about note values. I'll tell you what, I'll fall asleep to it tomorrow. That'll be the greatest cure for insomnia you've ever come across. All right, bud. We'll catch you later.